The Netherlands, land of water, of meandering rivers that cut through the flat countryside. Streams opening up the European hinterlands for many centuries. Along foreign riverbanks, through many countries, the place where waters come together after long journeys. Food for stories, for poetry, for painting, and food for the imagination, covering thousands of kilometers and ending up in the water-rich Netherlands, the land of many rivers where everything comes together. The Netherlands, main port of Europe, with Rotterdam and Amsterdam as large European harbors, distribution ports for tons of bulk goods and millions of liters of chemicals, modern transshipment terminals for thousands of containers a day. This is the gateway to the European economy. However, the success of the Dutch main ports has a downside, mainly caused by the infrastructure breaking down, compromising the capacity of the railway and increasing the congestion on the roads. The Rhine-Danube corridor. Little has changed to the naked eye. Take a look at the river countryside today. You still find plenty of enjoyment in the picturesque setting, with the coming and going of ships. In the meantime, the inland shipping sector has grown up and become an ultra-modern transport industry. Waterways stretching out over roughly 30,000 kilometers, monitored and when necessary corrected by a high-tech system, efficient, reliable and safe. From the North Sea to the Black Sea, anyone taking a different look at water sees opportunities. Opportunities to get ahead, to ship more, opportunities to grow.
Is inland shipping a smart way to transport? Yes, I think it is. Although it is developed from an old-fashioned way of transport, because in the old days you only had inland transport and carriages with horses in front of them. But nowadays we see that inland transport has developed in a real modern way of transport, where almost any type of cargo is being transported over the water. It's not very fast, but it's very reliable. And reliability is very important in terms of just-in-time transport, the new logistic concept, which is being applied all around the world. Especially here in Europe, we think we need to develop inland navigation much further than it has already developed, because we need the capacity of the waterways. First of all, if you develop transport, you need to have the infrastructure. And then the next step would be to use the infrastructure as good as possible. And this is where river information services started to be developed. Because you have river information services, you can monitor all traffic on your waterway network. You can plan your infrastructure, the use of your infrastructure better, especially at locks and movable bridges. Because if you know in advance, and I'm saying a long time in advance, when vessels will arrive at your lock, you can plan your locking cycle in advance. And you can give that information back to the navigation, so they will know at what time they can be served. And this total planning results in a better use of the existing capacity at locks and bridges. But you can also supply that information to the customers of inland navigation, that they can actually follow their cargo on the waterway. So they have a better understanding of where their cargo is and when it will arrive at the destination. There is also a possible reuse for law enforcement. There is of course also a huge advantage for statistics. We need to have statistics of inland navigation in order to plan our infrastructure and in order to see what kind of developments we should support and other developments we do not like at all. In a growing market, you can still remain to have the same safety level on your waterways. This is an important one for the society.
4,000 tons of chemicals is quite normal for an inland barge, a modern inland barge. You can imagine when there is a tanker involved in an accident and there is a big fire on the tanker, then the first thing you have to take into account, the first thing you have to do is to save the people, of course. But you have to take into account your own safety. That's rather important. But when the ship is on fire and there are chemicals involved, it's not possible to enter the ship. You can imagine that. So for that reason, it is very important that we know in advance what is on that tanker, what kind of chemicals. Now we have a so-called information system, a data information system, which is the captain of the ship obliged to fill in when he enters the Dutch rivers. So in advance he say, okay, I'm that ship, that is my Europe number, that are the chemicals who I have on board the ship, and so many people are on board the ship. That is also important. You can imagine when you locate 3 people in an accident and you know from the information system that there are 4 people, then you still have, of course, a major problem. When we have over here a big accident with a river barge, then you can imagine that when the wind is going to this place, then we are here with a lot of people and then we have to evacuate immediately, of course. That's very important in Holland because it is a very small country. A lot of people are living in it.
The port of Rotterdam is the 3rd largest port in the world. A lot of container traffic, of course. Last year we had about 9.3 million containers. If you put all the containers into a row, which are coming into this country, then you have 2 times the Ecuador to cover. It is very difficult to see in every container what's inside it. And the port of Rotterdam is one of the safest ports in the world. We have thought, I think, in a very good system of risk analysis. 24, 48 hours before the ship is arriving, we get information about what's inside the containers. On basis of the information, we make a good decision which container we want to inspect. What we are looking for is some anomaly into the pattern of logistics, something what is strange. Then we send it to the X-ray station. After that we have the image of the container, an X-ray image, what's inside the container. And on basis of that image we can make a decision, is there something illegal in it? Is there something strange? It's difficult to see it on the X-ray when it is hidden into 2,000 boxes. So sometimes it's very difficult to see it with the X-ray. Sniffer dogs also have their value in detecting drugs. If you are smuggling nuclear devices or nuclear materials into a container, then there will be an alarm. We have stationed about 40 detection portals who are able to detect gamma or neutron radiation. I think it is very sophisticated in the sense that it is integrated in the logistics. So we don't have to put the container to the detection portal, but in the logistic process it is normal that the container is driving through by train or by truck. Custom to customs, we are doing a lot together internationally, but we also wish to cooperate with business to get our world safer. And we think that a lot of exporting companies, importing companies can do a lot of safety measures. They can screen their personnel, they can make their own plants secure so that there are no intruders. Then you can get an authorization as an economic operator, and then you will get benefits, more speedier clearance, and they will be confronted with less investigations.
Well, Well, we face huge challenges because in Europe it is expected that transport will double in the next 10-15 years. We have lots of congestions on our roads, and our transport network, that's a backbone of the European economy, so it's very important. There is a lot of space and capacity available on our inland waterways. What we see right now in Europe, that the member states, they invest too little money in that waterways. And actually that's a little bit strange, because with a little bit of investments you can develop lots of capacity, dredging, making new connections, for instance between the Rhine and the Danube, which are the two main rivers in Europe. In the European Parliament we are trying to encourage the member states to invest more in their waterways. Well, what we try in Europe is to harmonize our legislation so that an inland waterway entrepreneur, that he can travel through Europe with the same manning, with the same vessel, with the same safety requirements, and that's very important. Last month the European Parliament adopted an action plan for inland shipping in order to get more priority for inland shipping. And in the Trans-European Network funds in Europe, there will be given more priority to inland waterways, and I think that's a good development to do that. What we see right here, that's rail transport, and that also counts for inland shipping, nowadays is mainly used for the longer distances, so from 100, 200, 300 kilometers and further on. As the congestion is growing that much, it's necessary to also look to new concepts for regional transport and to have an alternative for road transport for the shorter distances, and with that have more space for our transport.
Anyone taking a different look at water sees opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to transport more safely, efficiently and reliably than ever. Over 30,000 kilometers of waterways from the North Sea to the Black Sea. The Golden Highway.